como yo, ¿no? Así, en el campo trabajando con lluvia, con el sol, ¿no? Con su picha. Pero yo por lo menos me dijo que estudiaría. Por lo menos un profesor saldría, ¿no? Mi hijo es profesor, ¿no? Pero sé que lindo sería, ¿no?
Yungas today, like the rest of rural Bolivia, is terribly underdeveloped. This means a general lack of the most basic services and living with extreme poverty. This reality has not improved over 500 years.
Antes sí había esclavitud, pero dicen algunos que después de la República había mayor. Entonces yo creo que la esclavitud, pues, de diferentes maneras sigue nomás hacia adelante, ¿no? No hemos salido todavía de esa esclavitud.
Today, enslavement continues in the Yungas in a different, more subtle form. People are enslaved to extreme poverty. The average family income is $400 a year. But this is more than just an economic poverty. 6 out of every 10 children die of preventable diseases like TB, dysentery, and malnutrition. Over 20% of the children die before age 5. 60% of the population hasn't studied beyond the 5th grade.
Poverty is defined by the number of options you have. If you have no choices in life, then you're really poor. Once you can make a choice, then you're not so poor. So what education does, it gives people choices and options.
One of the main cash crops in the Yungas is the coca leaf. A misunderstood staple of Bolivian culture, it is most well known in the US as the main ingredient in cocaine. But here, coca is chewed and used in tea and other commercial products.
Es un mercado seguro y tienen un dinero seguro cada 3 meses. En cambio, como te digo, con el café sacan una vez al año y guardan para todo el resto del año, pero a veces no es seguro porque puede bajar el precio o puede subir.
Con eso nomás nos salvamos con la coca. Si no puede ser la coca, no puede haber dinero.
Coca conviene. Coca. Es cada 3 meses bota.
Sí, la coca queremos poner así un pedazo para podernos comprar lo que nos falta. Aparte de que podemos poner aquí, ¿no? Las hortalizas siempre se necesitan. El arroz, fideo, carne, la papa, esas cosas.
Tiene una fuerza muy grande el tema coca, ¿no? En lo social. Es un eje aglutinador, es un eje movilizador y es un eje económico. Entonces, por ahí en lo social tiene su debilidad y tiene también su fortaleza.
The leaves are chewed by campesinos to boost energy and quell hunger, much in the same way that overworked Americans drink coffee. Coca is shared to strengthen communal relationships, like a cigarette or food may be in the United States. It symbolizes the importance of Pachamama, or Mother Earth, in Andean spirituality. Coca is one of the most important elements of Bolivian culture.
Mis abuelos también eran agricultores, mi papá también era agricultor, nosotros también somos agricultores. Si podemos estudiar, también podemos trabajar con estudios, ¿no? No estés estudiando, trabajar en agricultura.
A threat to the campesinos' way of life has been the US pressure on the government to eradicate the leaf. Eradication is an expensive and largely unsuccessful attempt to combat the drug epidemic in the United States.
Cuando quieren erradicar coca, ya salimos a marchar.
But by eradicating all this coca, they're basically taking away the only way that these families have to earn a living. And that just isn't, that's just a huge lack of justice, I think. That you can't just take someone's livelihood away and expect them to do okay. I mean, it's not fair.
A diverse range of crops are grown here, but they aren't as profitable as coca. Much like the experience of poor farmers all over the world, economic survival in the globalized market has become almost impossible for the campesinos of the Yungas.
It's crazy the amount of subsidies that US and European agriculture get. So countries like Bolivia just can't compete. And they're at this huge disadvantage in trade, and supposedly trade and capitalism are the things that are supposed to lift everybody up. People do most efficiently what they can do, and then everybody wins. Well, in a system with huge subsidies like that, the people that are in developing countries just can't win. They're at this huge disadvantage.
Entonces, ese campesino tiene sus árboles, pero ahí no se preocupa por mejorarlos, porque sí le va a dar alguito de plata, pero mínimo.
Resulta que llevaba, sacaba en estos 5,000, 6,000 naranjas, y me iba, yo vivo en Obrajes, me iba a la zona de Achumani, y les decía, patronita, naranja yungueña, pruebe, y les daba. Pero ¿qué sucedía? En el precio, y es así una de las, el quinto viaje que he hecho, ya no regresé.
Extreme rural poverty yields only two options: either endure the abject living conditions or migrate to the city in search of a more dignified life. Farming coca or other crops can provide some level of economic security for individual families, but doesn't provide a solution for the other factors of poverty.
No cuentas con buenas escuelas, no cuentas con buena infraestructura de salud, entonces no cuentas con servicios básicos. Entonces, ¿qué haces? El campesino, por no tener recursos de vida, tiene que emigrar en busca de mejor vida. Y a veces esa mejor vida es peor. Ha nacido del interés y de la iniciativa de algunos párrocos que veían que su gente, sus jóvenes migraban. Entonces, ¿cómo retener a sus jóvenes? Surgió la idea de hacer una universidad en el campo.
In 1993, a university called Unidad Académica Campesina, or UAC, was founded in the village of Carmen Pampa to address the poverty in the region. Sister Damon Nolan was instrumental in its creation and remains as its director. Sister Damon arrived in Bolivia with other Franciscan missionaries in the 1980s to work on educating adults in the Yungas. She eventually began teaching at high school in Carmen Pampa.
Carmen Pampa era solamente una escuela a nivel primario, una escuela de la Iglesia Católica, ¿no? Dedicado a los jóvenes, a mejorarlos. Pero su enseñanza, su capacitación no era suficiente.
And so I became the principal of the high school. And that was when I started to realize that it wasn't enough, that we needed to do more, because most of our kids graduating from high school were becoming rural teachers. And they were becoming leaders in their own right in the community, but they always had people come from the outside to tell them what to do, and then they just had to do it. They were the gophers. You know, in Spanish you talk about the pongo. The pongo is the person that sits outside the hacienda owner's door, and when the hacienda owner wants something, you do it. To change that, we had to give them an education that brought them up eyeball to eyeball.
Nosotros queremos que la gente tenga oportunidades de capacitarse. Creemos y somos conscientes nosotros que la mejor forma de luchar contra la pobreza es llevándoles capacitación, educación.
Es un proyecto de impacto directo. ¿Qué significa? Significa que es en la comunidad, es educación en la comunidad, con la comunidad y para la comunidad.
After establishing a partnership with the Catholic University of Bolivia and local diocese, Sister Damon secured financial support from donors in the U.S. The last piece required was the approval of the community to begin construction.
Ella nos dijo que ya tenía todo escrito, todo el marco teórico, la filosofía inclusive, y que a nosotros ahora nos tocaba colaborar con ella, ¿no?, en conseguir la aceptación de la comunidad para poder hacer la universidad. Y es así que a mí me encomendó a entrevistar a los sindicatos, a conversar con ellos para que puedan firmar este compromiso.
With the campesinos, it wasn't a struggle. It was just a matter of teaching and helping them to see. You know, they were never against it. They just didn't know what it was. So, you know, and you didn't want to do it without having them want it. And that's so much a part of the culture, that wanting to work for the common good. I mean, everything about the Aymara culture leads us to working for the common good.
Y aquí hemos hecho trabajo harto, la gente, como decía, esta universidad es solamente para el campo. Toda esta gente se van a beneficiar. Hemos acordado, primero hemos hecho las viviendas. Cómo la gente quiere la educación. Mujeres, hombres han venido. Pisar el barro para hacer adobe. No había espacio en la escuelita. Todito lleno de adobes. La gente como hormiga trabajando.
The campesinos from Carmen Pampa and nearby communities constructed the first WAC buildings by hand and even contributed with their own materials.
Esto es una necesidad para el campesino, más que todo por lo económico. No era de lucro, era de servicio.
The WAC opened its doors 2 years later, in 1994, to the indigenous youth of the area.
La idea de nuestra unidad está haciendo que el campesino busque su propia alternabilidad.
The whole kind of point of the university is to empower people, and especially people that grew up in the countryside. Just working with students is so amazing. The students here, you know, they have all the problems that college students do all over the world, but there's just something extra here. They really, maybe not that they appreciate the opportunity to have this kind of education, but that they have made it this far already. And it's so hard just to even finish high school in this country.
The WAC offers fields of study that combine theoretical and scientific knowledge with practical application. These were chosen by the community members because they promise direct impact on the surrounding communities. There are now 5 fields of study for a student to choose from, each geared towards improving the quality of life in a distinct way: agronomy, nursing, education, veterinary science, and ecotourism.
If you can raise pigs, or produce coffee, or produce coca, or enter the tourism business, okay, you have 4 choices now because you're prepared to do all of those things. All right? So you choose one which is economically